In this video, we're going to be talking about the top bar here, and in order to see all of these options, you need to have something selected, okay? These are smart modifiers. All right, so we got a few sections here, but we're not going to be talking about all of them because, honestly, no point. There are some settings in here for display, right? For dot size, for the dot offset, for the dot tool, for these modifiers, because when you apply one of them, let's say I'm gonna just run with a smart shape and hold control. You see these dots, you can adjust the shape with these dots. We're gonna talk about it in a minute, but that's what these settings are for, okay? All these, right? And then you have also the behavior of the smart shapes, all right? These here, right? These are smart shapes and these are smart modifiers, okay? And that's the most important thing you need to know from this menu. And some of these are kind of meh, but some of them are quite interesting. For example, if I'm going to add this cube, or even better, let's just add this one. And this is not the regular cube. If you see here, if I collapse all these modifiers, there's quite a lot of them. This one is actually made out of a vert, okay? So now what you can do, you can hold control and you're going to see all these dots. And these dots denote different things. Like, for example, you could adjust the shape of it here. And, since all the bevels and chamfers are dynamic, the modifiers is going to adjust automatically. You can, adjust the height, width, whatever. Each time you need to depress control and press it again. It's a bit annoying, but there you go. And these are for bevels, right? So you can adjust the corner bevel, right? Then the chamfer, and lastly the bevel on on this shape. And you could build on this if you wanted to. I mean, you could go to, for example, I don't know, step bevel or whatever, or just start cutting it with with box cutter. It's going to work, right? Like a normal shape. And then if you're done, you can just go here and smart apply it, and you're gonna be back to a normal kind of a cube situation, right? So these are smart shapes. Some of these shapes are kind of, whatever, but some of them are quite interesting. Like, for example, I mean, this one, is pretty cool, not gonna lie. I mean, getting that in one click is pretty decent, right? And then obviously you can change the thickness, you can change the, the height of it, etc. You can play with them and have some fun. So, interesting stuff. So these ones I don't really use that much, but these I sometimes do. So let me show you how this works, yeah? Let's just add a plane, right? And with this plane, we're gonna run the bevel on corners like this. We're gonna, scroll up the segments. So let's go to, I don't know, maybe that many. Then we're gonna add the solidification, which is here. I'm gonna hold control, and pull it up, right? Then we're gonna add a chamfer, and then we're gonna add a bevel. So you see, you can work with these like that very quickly and create shapes. I never really sort of implemented them into my workflow because I don't think they're very intuitive unless you're going to spend some time and learn which one does what, right? But they're there if you want them. Now the interesting ones are here. So for example, if I have a plane, let me just rotate it, and we're going to subdivide it, right, a few times, and I'm gonna apply the rotation. So apply rotation, and then I'm gonna go to HardOPS, and you see these deform modifiers, right, like bend, whatever. So for example, let's grab, I don't know, maybe, yeah, maybe this one, and then you hold the dot and you can actually deform it like this, which is pretty cool. If you're gonna add subdivision, Control 2, whatever, you got some interesting stuff going on. And obviously you can start having fun with this, cutting it, whatever you want to do with it. Now, when you're going to do anything to this mesh, like for example, I don't know, try to cut it, right? The moment you try to do something, you're going to lose the dots. That's the problem, okay? So you're going to have to redo this. That's unfortunate, but that's how it works. So if you want to work with these smart modifiers, you have to finish the, whatever you're doing before you run something else on this mesh, okay? Because it's gonna, the dot's gonna stop working, okay? Obviously, you can always come back, right, and adjust things in here, but I'm just saying that's how it works. Now, the really cool ones are at the end, especially my favorite one is this one, okay, curve. You can't see it now, it's grayed out because we need to have a curve selected, but let me show you how it works. So if you have a bevel here, let's say, right, and you wanted to run a boolean on this cube like this, and you wanted to, for this boolean to array down the edge of this cube in vanilla Blender, I mean, good luck, okay? Without a psychiatrist, tough one. But here is quite easy with HardOPS. Grab this edge, and now instead of going to control click to rip the edge off, what we want to do is we want to run a pipe. Now we're going to press X, and we're going to get a curve, right? You follow? So this one now, let me just select it, is a curve. So I can just extend it here, so it's going to be easier to select it. So now what we're going to do, we're going to grab this cutter, we're going to array this, okay? So we're going to array it, and we're going to create, I don't know, maybe that many, okay? And we're going to grab this, we're going to grab this array. We're going to, let me just put weighted normals here, and maybe I can't look at this shading, is terrible. Oh, that's better. I'm going to grab this cutter, this array. I'm going to shift select this curve, and I'm going to go to HardOPS and just click on the curve. Now, I need to select the correct axis. We're on the y-axis, right? So we're going to go on the positive y, okay? And there you go. And in fact, it's actually twisted. So let's go on minus y. There we go. And then we're going to grab this one and simply go G, Y, and Bob Jungle, right? And there you go. And that's why we like using HardOPS. In vanilla Blender, you would require, I don't know, PhD in quantum computing for this. But here, just one click, done. Now, you got other modifiers here, for example, arrays on different axes, and this one is a radial array. I don't really use this one anymore, but I'm using the one here from, this one here from Mesh Tools, this one, radial array. It's easier to use and more intuitive, in my opinion, and quicker than going to H menu, HardOPS menu on the top and grabbing this tool. And I don't really have to switch from box cutter to HardOPS. I just go to Q menu, Mesh Tools, done, right? So, this one is easier to use. But anyway, I wanted to show you this top menu because sometimes it's useful, and play with these shapes and the modifiers. You may find some interesting stuff in here, like for example, there's a screw modifier which is way better than this spin bullshit. Remember this spin modifier I showed you? Jesus Christ. This one is also a smart modifier, right? So if you're gonna grab a plane and you're going to run a screw on it, you got the you got a dot, so you can do stuff like this, right? And have some fun, change the axis if you want to, and see what develops. Like for example, this one is not a bad idea, right? Run a control 1 on it, and boom, there you go, you get a screw. So it's really easy, and you still got the option of moving it here, then obviously changing the bevel, right? Because you're in a smart modifier menu, so you can use dots for anything you want. So this is pretty bloody cool, right? But remember, if you're gonna run anything on it like a cut or something, so if I'm gonna run a try run a cut on this, I'm gonna lose the dots, yeah? So you will lose the dots if you're gonna do that. Alright, well, that's it for this menu, and also that's it for this section. That's that's the last video in this section. Now you know all the tools in HardOPS, box cutter, and all the menus that you really need. The rest is kind of like super advanced stuff, and we gonna discuss a few more things in the advanced section, like for example some of these options, because you might find them useful in some rare cases. But other than this, we discuss probably 95% of HardOPS and box cutters, so you know more than enough. And now you just need to practice, and we're gonna start with that in the next section. We're gonna be modeling something using these add-ons. So I'll see you in the next section.